If you are new to the world of Dragon Ball, as I once upon a time was, I did have my familiarity with it, but I did not have a vast knowledge, as most people do when they watch the whole entire thing. Here's my take as I am making through all of the Dragon Ball series, but today we're only going to talk about Dragon Ball, which is the first installment in the whole entire series. I know there are some people who are going to tell you that you can skip Dragon Ball and just go to Dragon Ball Z, which is the second installment. I'm going to say no. Very clearly, it is important to watch Dragon Ball. It is the sad truth, I'm going to say, boring. It is not the most entertaining unless that kind of humor falls into your aspects, but it does have a pretty dull humor sense. It's slow. I feel like there's a lot of parts of it where it kind of lags and it takes a little bit of time, or like the manga artists didn't even know where they were going with the story. Goku is very cute as his kid form, and he's like, training and all that jazz. We get to see where Goku comes from, and that's very important in this whole entire aspect. If you skip it, you're not going to understand why he is the way that he is, and you're going to think he's an idiot or has like no manners and rough around the edges. But that's not really the case. When you watch Dragon Ball, you understand a lot about Goku's character for the later times you see him, and how hardworking he is and trying to train himself where he comes from before we get introduced to the rest of like the whole Saiyan society and Vegeta and all that. We get to see Goku in his own form on Earth and what he goes through. Now, what you are going to expect a lot in Dragon Ball is a lot of training. That's what it is. It's his beginnings, his humble beginnings, let's put it that way, where he's just training most of the time, where he meets Krillin for the first time, training with all the masters, not dying yet. I know Goku dies quite a bit of times, but we don't get him dying in this point. Like, we do get like the whole Dragon Ball situation of, collect the Dragon Balls and make your wishes and stuff like that. But it's good to mention that we also get introduced to Piccolo Jr. We get introduced to, who's the Piccolo that we actually know and come to like in Dragon Ball Z. I'm not going to give too much information about that. It's going to get very confusing if I did. But let's just say that Piccolo has different forms, but the same person, but split. That might just have confused you, but I hope it piqued your interest to watch about Piccolo. There's definitely a lot of tournament scenes throughout the whole of Dragon Ball, where it's just a lot of tournament fighting, going to train, tournament fighting, going to train. So that's your, characters do show up later on. Not all of them, but you will get like some characters here and there that show up in Dragon Ball Z that you're going to want to know what happened in their interaction earlier on in Dragon Ball. Just take that with a grain of salt. Watch Dragon Ball. Just know it might be boring, so don't drop it, because I almost dropped it because I was like, this isn't what I remembered when I was a child growing up. I don't remember seeing a lot of these scenes, and it was a lot more entertaining than what I'm seeing right now. And sometimes animes don't age very well if they're from years ago, especially when they're 20 plus years ago. So you're gonna have to really take that into consideration of the drawing style and how it's like basically animated. Also how the story was progressing. But, I stuck through it. I got through Dragon Ball, and by the time I got to Dragon Ball Z, everything made more sense, as well as Dragon Ball Z was what I remember most as a child. So the story was definitely getting much better in Dragon Ball Z, but I didn't regret watching Dragon Ball, because now it was like, oh, I understand the characters a little bit better now. I understand where the hell Goku comes from with his training and stuff, where Krillin comes from, where Piccolo, Kami, like everyone starts to make sense to me now. So overall, watch it, don't watch it, watch it. It's very important to watch Dragon Ball before you continue on to the series. It is controversy, somebody's going to say no, but I think it's necessary in order to understand what you're going to get in Dragon Ball Z. You just got to hang in there and make it through those. It's about 153 episodes, but just go through them. I mean, you probably end up liking the fight scenes. Most of it is training, so you're going to love the training aspects of it in those scenes of Goku and Krillin progressing.